Have you ever heard the tale of Darth Plagueis? It was an old Jedi fairy tale. Yep, we are reviewing Darth Plagueis today. I finished reading it today, so we're going to talk about it now. I would normally this is the part where I'd hold the book up in front of the camera, but the image is usually reversed. Plus, you saw it in the unboxing video. So this is a book I was really excited for. I thought it was interesting, bit of lore, even though it's no longer canon. But I thought, but, and while I was reading, I thought, wow, this is really interesting, really well written, and it kind of is, but at the same time, I think it's a little disappointing. I think it's one of those where it's more, if you weren't a fan of the prequel, don't care about the prequel era at all, this is not going to win you over because of how much it is, and it's pretty much what it says. It's basically the story of Darth Plagueis, which Palpatine tells Anakin about in Revenge of the Sith. It's about how he finds Palpatine. Ultimately, it's a prequel to the prequels. So it's not only the story of Darth Plagueis. Well, it's about his time period as a master. So not only does this involve the story of Plagueis, it involves how he found Palpatine, how Palpatine became his apprentice, how Palpatine rose to power, the origin of Darth Maul, and a lot of stuff. So yeah, so it's a really big story. So why don't I was glad I read it overall, but there was something holding it back. So first, let's start off with the good stuff. I love the first third of this book. Plagueis, I think he's a very interesting character. They do a really good job making him unique with his idea of power and coming back and obsession with immortality. His position as a banker I thought was interesting. Just as a whole, just a really interesting character and a really unique Sith. And just his whole character. I mean, even the beginning when he just takes advantage of an opportunity and just kills his master, Darth Tenebus, or whatever his name is. Just really good stuff. And just the whole time, just some really good description, some really good language, really good use of EU lore. Like, there was a lot of moments in the book where he's constantly referencing, like, other planets from other EU books. Like, he references the Thrawn trilogy, like, he references the Joruus character. There's a lot of references to the Old Republic, which makes me really want to read the Darth Bane stories because it just how much they reference it. And the Clone Wars, they reference Death Watch, they reference Mother Talzin. So it's this really, like, he's doing a really good job of, like, connecting to all the EU stuff and just making it feel cohesive, making it feel like part of the universe. And I really like that. That is one thing I'm starting to really like about the old EU, and I'm sure the new one will do this too, which is that it will. Hang on, sorry, I got a call. Is that it's just, again, I'm sure the new EU is going to do this, which is that it's referencing everything. There's an effort to connect, make it all feel cohesive, like it's referencing other little things, and it doesn't necessarily need to do this. It doesn't necessarily need to do this, but it's like one of those little things I appreciate. I feel like it does it a little too much, though. It does. No, I feel like it does it a little too much, though. Like, it'll do it. Sorry, the phone's going to have to distract me. Like, it references the Old Republic quite a bit, and I feel like so, like, as far as the EU goes, like, I really want an entry point. Like, I want to, like it makes it a little harder for newcomers again because you feel like, wait, I probably should read all this, and it does, and it does start to wear down. Like, especially Bane stuff. Like, they reference it so much to a point where I feel like I'm missing out by not referencing anything. But I mean, I can still follow it okay. It's just, I feel like I might appreciate it a bit more if I had read the Bane stuff. Once we get the story, we find Palpatine, though, that's when I start to lose interest and I start skimming through, because of the nature of the story, we have to sort of get into the prequel stuff. The prequel stuff, like setting up the events of the Phantom Menace, like the blockade and stuff. And there I felt like we stopped becoming about Plagueis, and it just became more like setting up and giving us all these random facts that I feel like we didn't need to know. Like, okay, like, here's how we found Maul. Here's a random scene where we found Maul. Here's what Palpatine was doing during the Phantom Menace. Here's how the block game. Like, I really don't care about all this. I mean, I know it's obligatory. I know that it's the prequels and that, like, you need to start it. You can't avoid this stuff, but at the same time, it still doesn't make it any harder when I see the words Trade Federation. Because the interesting stuff is the character stuff of Plagueis and Batine. The fact that we have to focus on the politics, just, it kind of is dull. So part of me just wishes they had rewritten this story, because in Revenge of the Sith, I always assumed that Plagueis had died many years ago, like before Palpatine was even senator. So maybe if they had set the story a little earlier on, had Palpatine become a senator a little early, basically have this take place well before the Phantom Menace, so we don't have this don't have to set up the Phantom Menace. Because again, that's where the interesting story was. And I have mixed feelings on getting Palpatine's history, because it was a little dull, it was a little weird seeing him as a young boy, and it was a little stupid of Plagueis to, like, take him on and not think at some point Palpatine's going to betray him. So yeah, mixed bag. I ultimately think James Lucene is a good writer. I just think this is a case of, you're sort of writing in an era that not a lot of people are a fan of, and there's certain things that there's no way around it. But there were some nice moments. I do appreciate his ability to, like, sort of tie it into all the other element pockets of the EU. And there were some generally interesting stuff. In fact, now I really want to pick up the Darth Bane books. And if you want me to review them, if it's like, you got to review Darth Bane, comment, and I'll eventually get into it. I'm going to do it regardless, but yeah, if you just really want me to read it, just let me know. I'd recommend the books. If you love the world of the prequels, if you love Star Wars lore, Star Wars diehard Star Wars fan, read this book. If you're not into the prequel era at all, this is not going to sway you over. If you just don't like anything about it, anything that's come out of it, this will not change your mind. And when you're just, like, if you want good classic Star Wars, read the Thrawn trilogy. It feels like Star Wars. This, well, enjoyable is not the most interesting of stories. Some interesting moments, but I don't feel like it quite comes together nicely. So Darth Plagueis, what did you think of it? Comment below and let me know. And as always, like, dislike, comment, subscribe. And this is JStars360, and may the Force be with you. Until next time, I'll see you later.